content market is way too saturated, and that's actually a really good thing. I know that sounds crazy because everybody wants the easiest and simplest path to tons of views and riches, but it's not. If you don't know who I am, hi, my name is Nicholas Bueno. I built a content and email agency up to $650,000 Canadian total revenue in just 2.5 years with only 3,000 followers. And in this video, I'm going to tell you why so many people wish they had first movers advantage, why it doesn't really matter, and how you can use market saturation to your advantage. So to understand how you can win in today's market in 2026 and beyond, we need to look back at what the market was like before this mass saturation flooded your social media feeds. Let's look at 2019, 2020, what some people call the golden age of online marketing, where you could just tell them you were hosting strategy calls or coaching people and people would just magically click and sign up. 2019 is when I got my start into this world. Now, I tell people that I was an overglorified clipboard holder, not as a personal dig against myself, but more so because I didn't know what online marketing was. And the guys who employed me at the time, the guys who were supposed to be teaching me this stuff, didn't really teach me what I should have been learning, if I'm being completely honest. No shade to them. I didn't know what an offer was. I didn't know why we were posting what we were posting and what the point of it all was. I didn't know why people were paying us tons of money. I just knew that we did social media content and we posted content because, well, content is good. It's like that South Park episode with the gnomes. It's like step 1, collect underwear. Step 2, who has any idea? And then step 3 is profit. That's what my job at this agency felt like. I just spit on myself. Gross. But my job was basically post a ton of content because it's good for them, and there's nothing deeper than that. And the reason why that worked is because short form algorithms hadn't even been introduced in 2019. Posting content on social media was still very rare. Most people were still operating under the guise of like, your digital footprint is forever. Like, don't post content. It'll never get off the internet. And now people are doing just obscene things on the camera that would probably make my parents' head spin and everybody in 2007's head spin as well. But the point was, because there weren't a bunch of people vying for attention, it was really easy to build a brand. It was really easy to get lots of views. It was really easy to get people to follow you because having courage and talking to the camera like this wasn't that common. And so a lot of people look back at that with nostalgia and wistful thinking and go, wow, what a great time. We really didn't know what we had. And to some degree, yes, I get it, because it wasn't as hard to get attention because there were so many less people competing with you. But at the same time, I think that's kind of a fallacy. I shouldn't say kind of, that's a huge fallacy. And to show you why, let's go back a couple years before that. 2017, my second year of college basketball. I had just gotten a scholarship to play at Durham College in Ontario, represent. I'm not from Ontario, I'm from Manitoba, which is not as fun, but that's okay. And I was really stoked. That summer, I had just signed on with Durham. I got a scholarship. I was a scholarship athlete. They did a whole website feature on me, signing with the school. I was so stoked, and it was such a big deal for me, partially because I wanted to play pro, but another reason for that was because I got cut in grade 11 from my varsity team. I only played 1 year of varsity basketball, and after I got cut, I transferred schools. It was this whole thing. We ended up making the provincial semifinals. I got to play my rookie season in Manitoba, and I had a good enough season and good enough tryouts to get a scholarship in Ontario. For those of you who don't know what that means, getting cut from my basketball team, you probably understand. Playing grade 12 and making a semifinal, you probably understand. But playing college basketball, not university level. University would be the equivalent of like D1 in America. College level basketball in Manitoba is small fries compared to the rest of the country, compared to the highest level at university, compared to college in Alberta, compared to college in Ontario. So for me to go from somebody who wasn't starting, I don't think I started a single game in my rookie season. And yes, we did win the championship, but it was there was like 3 or 4 teams. It wasn't really anything crazy. If you asked people from outside the province, even people who were in the province didn't look at it like it was a big deal. For me to go from that level, not starting, to now going to Ontario and getting a scholarship at a school that was a playoff team consistently, for me was a massive deal. And I had an awesome tryout. I remember that they were willing to pitch in. No, sorry, they weren't. That was another team. But I flew out there on my own dollar. I tried out, I played extremely well, and I felt like there was no pressure on me. I felt like if I just showed up and played, that was a win in and of itself. I didn't really think that they'd offer me a scholarship. I had talked to multiple teams in Ontario, and I was actually considering going to a different team in the first place. Trying out at Durham for me was just kind of like, well, it's close to Toronto. It's like a 45-minute train ride outside of the city. So sure, fuck it. Why not? Let's just go try out. I played extremely well. The coaches were extremely impressed, and they offered me a scholarship literally the next day or after the tryout. I can't remember, but it was within that weekend of me visiting. However, I had a terrible season. I dropped out of school in around November. It was right before my birthday. And the reason I did so is because the entire province of Ontario, every college in Ontario, no exceptions unless they were university, went on strike. And they went on strike for 6 weeks, and they told us that if you want to drop out and get your money back for the remainder that you didn't use, you could do so. So I was living on campus at a dorm. Obviously, I can't get the money back for the time that I lived there, but I decided to go back. And I decided to go back even though I was a scholarship athlete, even though I was playing at one of the best colleges, one of the best college leagues in the country, because I was not playing well. I was not getting along with my teammates. I was not getting along with my coach. And the point that kind of showed me that things weren't necessarily what I thought they were, and that will help make my point for the rest of this video, was the first tryout that we had for people who hadn't yet been signed. So we had ID camp the second week of school, and anybody who was going to school at Durham and wanted to try out was able to, but everybody who was on the team, it was like practice for us basically with other people trying out. After one day, they cut a certain amount of people. After the second day, they cut a certain amount of people. I think maybe 3 to 5 guys ended up making the final roster from that ID camp. But the first day, I couldn't play because I forgot, with all the things that I had to get ready for that summer, that I had to get a physical done in order to be cleared to play. My coach wasn't happy with that. He reamed me out. The next day, when I got my physical done and I was able to play the next day, something interesting happened. I was in incredible shape when I got to the ID camp. I was in incredible shape for the entire 2.5 months that I was playing on this team. That shouldn't have been, sorry, not that shouldn't have been the case. That should have been the case. It should have been the case that I was in incredible shape. But to show how much better shape I was than everybody else, I was probably the second or third least athletic guy on the team. But every single drill, every single competition we'd have, I'd either come in first, second, or third. It was very rare that I wasn't in the top 3 competing with guys that were much more athletic than me, and that shouldn't have happened. That's what I jumped to that point when I accidentally said that shouldn't have happened. And so this happened during the ID camp, especially during the second day, my first day, when I saw nobody was really running hard. Somebody would miss a shot, rebound would happen, I'd sprint down the court, nobody would follow me, touchdown pass all day long. Guy would get the rebound, pass to the point guard, or sometimes just throw it over the top, and I'd get a layup. One problem, though, with that. I missed a lot of layups. Wide open layups. It was humiliating at the time. And the reason why I kept missing these layups, if you remember how I talked about my tryout at Durham earlier on in the video, I didn't put any pressure on myself. I didn't think anything of this tryout that I had. I didn't think anything of this school, of this coaching staff, of this opportunity. I showed up and thought, well, it's a great opportunity to at least get better, and who knows what'll happen. I was completely present in the moment. As soon as everything started escalating from there, tryout, you made the team, scholarship. Scholarship implies a lot of things. Am I going to start? Am I going to play the position I wanted to? And coach told me, look, I think that you'll be able to play the position you want, but you'll also have to play out of position. If he ever watches this video, I highly doubt it. But he told me that I'd probably have to play out of position. I'd have to play some 5, which I'm like 6'3", 6'4", that's not tall enough to play 5. But he said you'd get a shot to play the 3. You'd probably have to play some small ball 4, though, and I was okay with that. But all these expectations that I placed on myself started coming out the more attention I got. The more people started seeing me, the more I had to actually live up to the expectations I placed on myself, the expectations that were also placed on me. The more I started to crumble, the more I started to play poorly, because I didn't think I was worthy of being seen. I didn't think I was worthy of having people thinking I'm good enough. I struggled having others really seeing me in a moment that I really cared about. Being vulnerable was not a strong suit of mine. I loved basketball. It was my life. I wanted to play pro. I got a scholarship at a playoff school at a really good league that's right below the university level. So if I played really well, I could jump through to the next level. I might be able to start. I'm already in way better shape than everybody else. I'm running harder than them. I'm playing harder than them. I have open opportunities to impress the coach and show him how many points I can accumulate just by not being a lazy dumbass. And I missed a lot. Like, I think I had maybe 6 to 8 wide open layups at least, and I made half of them, which, if you're contextualizing, making half your shots is great if you're shooting from half court and there's 2 guys on you. If you're taking bunnies open with nobody around you, that's not as great. It doesn't matter if I put them back in or if I get the rebound and I score or pass to somebody else who scores. That is a terrible, terrible look. So how does this all relate to first mover's advantage in content and social media? Well, first mover's advantage does not matter if you do not have the necessary skills or state to help you capitalize on that advantage. I thought I had the skills. I had the skills in the tryout. I had the skills in an open gym. But as soon as it was 5-on-5, which is the only scenario in which real games are being played, my skills went like this because I didn't train in the correct ways. I thought I had the inner state. I would watch Kobe Bryant motivation videos. I would watch, I almost said The Last Dance, it didn't come out at that point, but I would watch Michael Jordan motivation videos. I would yell at people and think that's what being a competitor and being an alpha male and being the Mamba mentality was all about. How angry, bitter, and standoffish are you? And how much of a piece of shit do other people think you are? You're probably a great basketball player, right? Wrong. As soon as the stakes were slightly higher, this wasn't a game. This wasn't a playoff game. This wasn't the last play of the season. This was an ID camp. I already made the team. I already got a scholarship. They couldn't revoke it. It was an ID camp. But because my frequency wasn't there, because I wasn't in it because my mental headspace was not nearly where it needed to be, and because the skills that I had trained for didn't actually translate to where I needed them the most, I didn't play well. And it did way more damage to my image and my reputation and what people thought of me than any of the other shit that I did in the summer did. And to relate this back to content, I know a lot of creators, I know a lot of coaches, I know a lot of business owners who crushed it in 2021 when the new TikTok algorithm came out and they were dancing and doing this. I don't even know what the dance moves are. That's gonna look stupid. But they were doing everything it took to get the first mover's advantage and really strike while the iron was hot. When TikTok came out and when Instagram launched Reels and people were not yet fully understanding how big this social media content wave was. Now, those same people, if they did not adapt, if they did not look at their own internal operating systems, if they did not look at their unconscious mind and where it's leading them and what they're actually trying to achieve, and if they didn't improve their skill set or make sure it mattered to close more clients and keep them happy and fulfill when they keep coming in over the years, they suffered for it. They are not in a better place if they did not adapt. They're not in a better place if they did not develop some sort of relationship to their own emotional state, to their own internal state, to their own mindset, to their own unconscious mind. It completely fucked them over if they stayed static and thought, that's it, I got the first mover's advantage, I don't have to do any more work. Or, I got the first mover's advantage, if I just stay consistent, I will keep winning. That's not how it works. I was still in better shape than almost everybody on the team. I gave a shit and really showed up and tried my best to impress the coaches and leave a lasting impact. I knew that the players on my team did not have a good reputation with the professors, with the school as a whole. I had great grades. I had a 4.0, which has never happened before in school, by the way. I really wanted to make a good impression. The profs really liked me. Again, I'd win a lot of the drills. I showed up early to practice. I stayed late afterwards. But because I didn't necessarily play as well during the scrimmages, I wasn't getting as much game time, any of the good things I did were quickly negated by how people saw me. My teammates thought I was terrible. Like, honestly, they would laugh at me. And when we talk about playing one-on-one, I know how to read human beings' body language. They thought I was fucking terrible, which was not a good feeling at the time. But it just proves my point even further. That summer I worked a lot in empty gyms. That summer I worked a lot in scenarios by myself. If I did more 5-on-5 work, 3-on-3, 2-on-2 with a coach, with a defender, I think I would have done so much better in that season and things would have been drastically different. If I spent more time learning how to chill the fuck out, if I spent more time resting instead of working extensively long kitchen shifts at a restaurant where I'm standing all day, which absolutely fried my legs, by the way. I went from getting the ball over the rim and grabbing rim, almost being able to dunk, to not being able to touch the rim in like 5 or 6 months. It was that bad. But if I learned how to take care of my body more, take care of my emotional health, my mental health, of my mindset, of how I feel, of who I am, things would have been drastically different. Okay, this is all great information, but how do you use this to your advantage? Because most people are doing what I did in the summer of 2017. They would put in work every day, but they'd get up shots in an open gym. They would practice finishing around the gym with no defender or no obstructions or no pushback or no resistance, no anything. They would go to the weight room and lift weights, which is great. They do quickness and agility drills, but they didn't know how to fuel their body. They didn't know how to rest and recover properly. Your job is to find the scenarios and the training circumstances that allow your skills to translate to your business in a real way. Everybody's playing the better game with views, followers, and retention, which are nice and can help, but they're not the main factors that drive growth in your business. Those are the equivalent of getting up 1,000 shots in an empty gym, not game speed, with no closeout, and not having to read any defenders. You need to figure out what unique solutions are for your niche, for your audience. Learn how they relate to who you are, your soul, your experiences, your skills, your worldviews, and present it to them in a lens that stands out because it's not the same as what everybody else is saying. There are so many people who sound the same because they worship AI, or they all watch the same like 5 to 10 content creators and just repeat the same talking points they do because they hope it'll work for them, instead of outlining their college basketball scenarios and circumstances. Or they're hoping that blind volume will leapfrog them past the competition. Your job when everybody's going surface level is to build depth. That in and of itself helps you stand out because everybody's in the game for the wrong reasons. More money, more views, more business growth. Why? Does that even matter? How do you know that even fucking matters? You could be building in the complete wrong direction, but you heard somebody say something that hit you in a way and made you think it was going to get some kind of validation or make you feel fulfilled, so you're doing it. If you have the ability to have the courage to ask, why am I even fucking doing this in the first place? And then build a unique angle that is an extension of you based on the solutions that you can create for people who are in immense pain related to your unique process, your soul, your worldview, and your experiences, that will get you so much further ahead than taking every video from the people in your niche that are the most viewed, throwing them into ChatGPT. And if you haven't projectile vomited by now, congratulations, but you see what I'm saying. So many coaches and creators have unintentionally entered an arms race to the bottom because they think that information and execution are still the separating factors that get you ahead of the pack and help you grow your business. They're not. AI has leveled those playing fields. Anybody with some decent copywriting, knowing how to do some market research, and a quick trigger finger are not going to be looked at as authorities like they did in 2020 or 2022 or 2019. The real separations are here. What's your energetic state? Because that influences everything. What is your frequency? What kind of people are you attracting? What kind of opportunities are you attracting? If you want to see what you really believe and what you're really made of, look around you. Look at your life. It's not a coincidence you're in the situation you are. It's not a coincidence that you have the things you have, good or bad. That was a really tough pill for me to swallow when I thought I had the life I really wanted. I was living in Toronto, downtown. It was great. It was much better than fucking Winnipeg. It was much better than the life I had before, at least what I thought. And while the career goals were more aligned with the life I wanted, while the success was something that I was really enjoying, and the clients I was working with, I was really enjoying, I was making a big difference in their lives, underneath it all, it was completely falling apart. I started doing my taxes this week. I looked at all the purchases I made in 2024. I was like, what the fuck was I doing, bro? Like, I was so emotionally unregulated to do all this shit and accumulate this debt because I hoped that if I just paid other people, put the money down, and put all my faith in them, they could fix what I thought was broken inside of me. I felt so deeply unworthy and hoped that if I could just do more and get more shit out there, people would love me, I would feel fulfilled, and I would feel whole. That's not how that works. And look, yes, marketing strategies are very, very helpful. Understanding how to get attention and keep attention is extremely helpful. I'm not talking down on those things. What I'm saying is if you're trying to play the same games as everybody else, the better game of views, followers, retention, clicks, whatever the fuck people focus on outside those things, and if you only focus on information and execution and just tell yourself that speed is all that matters, just do more. What are you, a pussy? What? Andrew Tate would think you're a bitch, bro. Do more. And that's going to get you to the promised land of fulfillment and business success and alignment and building from a place that isn't trying to tell the unconscious voice in your head to shut the fuck up because you're deeply unhappy. I don't know what to tell you. It's just not going to work. The energetic state and the frequency leads to unique ideas and conviction that draws people in. That's magnetic. So yeah, it's amazing that the market is too saturated now. It's great that there are so many people trying to enter into the world of online business because it means that you have an opportunity to really stand out. Market skepticism is at an all-time high. Trust is at an all-time low, which means that people are not just looking at the desired outcome and the destination that you're selling on your website. They're looking at the mechanism. How are you going to get me there? They're looking at the person. How are you going to get me there with your system? The analogy I always tell people is that on airline sites, they always put the picture of the destination, which is great. But in the online marketing world, everybody's putting the picture of the destination. And there are a lot of people out there who are bad actors with bad intentions, or let's just say not as wholesome and benevolent intentions. And so people get fucked over, people get led astray, people get let down, and so they start to become skeptical. If I told you, hey, I can get you to Barcelona in 5 hours, you'd probably say, okay, cool. If somebody else came along and said, hey, look, I can get you to Barcelona in 1 hour, you'd probably go, wow, sign me up. Only catch is there's no seats on the plane, there's no overhead luggage, no seat belts, and people are allowed to smoke. Would you get on that plane? Probably not. Even if it's cheap, probably not. Why do people pay the highest dollar for first class or business class? Because it's worth it. I mean, it's probably not worth it all the time, but you understand the concept is that if you're going to provide me a higher service, if you're going to get me there and it's more comfortable, I can sleep, I get better food, I get treated better, I will pay that. If I said, oh, I can get you to Barcelona in 4 hours, but the pilot's insane, like he's fucking nuts, and he might just go rogue and take you to Istanbul instead, absolutely not, you're getting on that plane. So the destination is important, but the pilot and the plane are also extremely important. And of course, the seats and the quality of how you'll be treated inside the plane. Those three things are more important than ever right now. So focus on them. Don't just do what everybody else is doing. This is such a crucial time, and I'm not one of those people who's like, you only have 2 years to build a personal brand, and then AI is gonna come for you, and Peter Thiel's gonna come for you. No, I'm not one of those fucking people, because I think acting like that is super fucking lame, and even if you believe in it, if you lead with that fear-based angle, all you're trying to do is scare people into watching the rest of the video. I think we're at such a crucial point of content creation because the market's so saturated and everybody's starting to see the benefits of getting into online business. That means there's a real opportunity for you to build something real. That means there's a real opportunity for you to build something that makes your heart sing, that brings you joy, brings you fulfillment, and allows you to settle into a state of safety and a frequency that magnetizes and attracts other people who want the same things as you. You have a real opportunity to build something for yourself, for your future family down the road that makes such a big difference. And I strongly implore you to stop getting swept up in the hype of better. I strongly implore you to not get swept up in the hype of doing more. I strongly implore you to look inward and figure out what you want to do and why it even matters, and start talking to people on a deep level. Start talking to them from a place of service. Start talking to them because you really fucking care. That's cool. That's going to help grow your business. That's going to make it all worth it. Anyways, that's today's video. I don't know how else to wrap this up, but I really enjoyed doing this. And I didn't script this one out. I don't know if you guys noticed. I've scripted other videos out. This one I just decided to go for, and it felt really good. And I love your feedback. So if you want to watch another video on how to attract high-level clients, or how to grow your business from a place of alignment, how to improve your content ecosystems, there will be a link. There will be a video linked here on the video, and I'll see you in that next video, guys. Peace.